So, Mark Driscoll, the favorite pastor that everybody loves to hate, even though nobody knows why they hate him. Because most time you ask people, like, what do you think about Mark Driscoll? It's like, I don't like that guy. It's like, why? It's like, I don't know. Just because everybody else does it. He did some stupid things several years ago. And
he's popular to hate.
He is. Well, because he says a lot of things that step on people's toes. And people think he's kind of disqualified from doing that because of the mistakes that he made in the past. But listen, man, you pastored a church in Seattle at one of the craziest liberal places on the planet, and everybody's like, he's so mean. And that's part of the thing. That he was mean and abusive.
Well, yeah, he was mean to those people. They probably needed it.
Well, no, he probably walked in. It's like, hey, your car's blocking the front door. Can you move it? Oh my gosh, I'm so oppressed. And so he spoke at a men's conference. I use the term loosely.
So did
there was this guy who was are you still checking this?
I'm watching it.
Okay.
You're good.
So there was this guy who gets up there and he performs, and this dude used to be a male stripper. That's common knowledge. And so he does this little performance here. I'm laughing because if we're here, if us three right here, we're getting up and walking out.
And we might knock him off the stage.
Or I jump up there and tackle him, and you guys are trying to pull me off of it.
I can't even understand why.
Yeah.
Why?
Who thought this was a good idea?
You know what? Next time at a women's conference, I want them to put a female up there to do the same thing.
100%. Take her top off.
I want to see what happens when she does that. They'll call her a charlatan and everything else.
So he gets up there, and this guy used to be a male stripper, may still be a male stripper as far as we know. Yeah. Maybe he gave his life to Christ.
He's still a pole dancer, either way.
Even if he gave his life to Christ, this is still not acceptable.
Yeah.
Not in a men's conference.
So they have us at a men's conference, and every time I say men's conference, I'm going to say, and I use the term loosely. Mm-hmm. So because I don't know of any guy, because we're sitting with our friends, they're like, what is all this gay crap going on here? Because
that would be 100%. I'd be like, this 100%.
Is 100%. The guy rolls up on a Harley. I mean, how much more gay can you get? I mean, seriously.
True. That's
I'm just kidding. Our Harley guys are getting upset.
So, dude rolls up on a Harley and then gets up here and pole dances.
I don't know if he did. They had a motorcycle there because that's what you do at men's conference.
There's a motorcycle there. There's one on the backdrop, the big screen too.
Yeah, because that's what men are about, motorcycles.
Yeah,
and so
wow,
he gets up and he does this. This, if you could see a little bit of it, we kind of show it.
I mean, that's provocative music too.
So what is it? What happened?
Okay. Now, context. Huh? What? Why did he have to take his shirt off?
First of all, he didn't need to. Second of all, was he actually going to pole dance? Was he pole dancing?
So this video cut off shorter than what I saw earlier. He does not necessarily like twirling, but he does like the muscular thing, like planking out and stuff like that. So he's got a hold of the pole.
So circus actors can do that,
right? Usually
with their shirts on,
tight shirts.
Or at least you don't have to take your shirt off. I mean,
Yeah.
And I think context matters here. As
well,
far
I was
the context
curious
of the guy's life. I mean, basically, if you've got a circus performer who's doing something like this, and it's a guy who's doing it, okay, it's different. But you've got this guy used to be a male stripper.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and he comes up here and he does his show.
Even if that is a circus performer, we go to a circus to see that stuff. We don't go to men's.
Yeah, you don't go to men's.
Exactly, and they don't take their shirts off.
Conferences to do that. Yeah,
right, and they don't do that. And if they did a women's conference, I'd pay money to go see it. But I just
now see that would be more empowering. Have a woman come
I'm like, yeah. No.
Oh wow!
It would make more sense to do it at a men's conference. I mean,
yeah, it would, wouldn't it? But wow, this got gay really quick there.
I'm not sure how. I mean, we don't know the context here, but either way, I don't see how this is beneficial for men at a weekend conference like that.
I just don't see
context.
I think all this stuff's a joke anyway.
Yeah.
We've made fun of man camp and stuff like that, where these guys go off. If you're not familiar with man camp, they just go off and do things together as men that we do every weekend. Clear brush and drink beer and stuff like that. Smoke cigars. It's like, You poor guys.
It's like,
You
you
know,
have to have a weekend.
You have to leave the house to do
you have to
that.
leave the house to go do
specifically
this
for
stuff
that?
because you're so henpecked. So I'm not a fan of men's conferences because it's just one of these things. I'm not a fan of these big events anyway.
It looks like a bunch of emotionalism anyway.
Well, it
You
is,
know,
and everybody goes and they get fired up for a couple of weeks, and then they go back to the way they were. The only thing that works consistently is, I'm being redundant, consistent discipleship. That's what works. Being around godly men will make you a godly man.
Mm-hmm.
And these conferences, I'm gonna get in trouble if I keep talking because there's people who just love these things, and that's fine, that's great. I just don't see the worth of it. But
I don't see any context that makes that worth any type of men's conference.
you just don't. The amount of money that we put into particular things, all these pageants that we do, all these programs that we do within the church and stuff like that, you just don't. You don't see a return for what we're doing. And it's not necessarily about money. It's about time and effort and all that stuff, and resources and things. And so when people come up and I've led people to the Lord and stuff like that, and it's like, which I hate that phrase too, but it's...
I'm surprised you said it, actually.
I've just never had anybody come up here and just say, yeah, it was because of Vacation Bible School, or
Right.
is it because I went to a men's conference, or it was because the church had a trunk or treat. That I came to know the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand people are just like, well, we're just trying to introduce them to Jesus and stuff like that. But it's like, man, you'd have to be living under a rock to not have heard of Jesus and know who Jesus is.
A men's conference, I'm going to assume they've all
They're all
heard of
Christians,
Jesus
right.
at that point because they're Christians going to a men's conference. So
Well, what's sad, and
Garth is
maybe one
watching
of them
us.
will watch us and they'll get upset at me, and that's fine and stuff like that. I'm used to it. But it's just like, why didn't a man stand up? Why did it have to be Mark Driscoll do it?
Mm-hmm.
once again, if we were there,
I'm serious, man. I'm not. It's not false bravado or anything like that. I would have said
At the very least, we would have left.
yeah, we got up and said, like,
we
oh,
would have
this isn't for us.
left, why are we sitting here watching this and everybody's okay with it? That's the most disconcerting thing.
Yeah.
Now you do have, when Mark is kicked off the stage, you do have people who are booing and saying bring him back,
Yeah.
and then this guy, whatever his name is, Pastor John or whatever, gets up there and does damage control and stuff like that. Takes a verse totally out of context. That way I'm proud of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they booed Pastor John. I'm just going to call him John. They booed John. So,
Lost his title.
but this church has a history apparently of doing a lot of this stuff. This controversial
That's
stuff.
where I was going to ask. It was like, okay, some church like this is probably not the first time this has happened.
No,
Nor will it be the last.
I just don't know why we feel like we have to keep pushing the envelope of what is acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
I had an old pastor friend of mine. It's like, when in doubt, don't do it.
I'll tell you what, it made his church pretty popular, didn't it? We all know about it now.
All press is good
But you don't
press.
know the name of the church.
That's true, but I didn't really know what
I-
actually happened until now. So.
I think the article I read had the church's name in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but nobody who watches the video knows the name of the church.
True, and they're not going to go there.
And
on
I
the
don't think
video.
this is positive press, because every comment,
No.
I think every comment on every video that I've watched has been, Pastor Mark was right. He was right. He was right. He was right. He was right. Everybody says that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he apologized, apparently. And everybody's like, he was wrong. He was wrong. He was wrong. To apologize.
Yeah, 100%.
And he shouldn't have apologized.
Mm-hmm.
So let's watch this and see what happens here. He gets up here and he starts talking about what took place.
And how to deal with Ahab and Jezebel.
See, they're already oohing.
Let me do this. I've been up since 1 o'clock in the morning. The reason I'm hoarse is I have been praying for you, and my heart is very burdened for you. And I want to be very careful with this, and it's not what I want to say, but the Jezebel spirit has already been here. The Jezebel spirit opened our event. This is a rebuke and a correction of no one. This is an observation. Before the Word of God was open, there was a platform. It was a high place. On it was a pole.
He wanted to say stripper pole.
Yeah.
The same thing that's used in a strip club for women
Oh, there we go.
who have the Jezebel spirit to seduce men.
See, there you see
He's
that.
even
In front of
provocative
that
about it.
was a man
Yeah.
who ripped his shirt off like a woman does in front of a pole at a strip club.
That's gay. I'm sorry.
That man then ascended.
With a sword in his mouth.
Oh, so that now circus act.
He's a sword swallower, yeah.
He was very.
See, our God is not arrogant. He doesn't ascend. Our God is humble. He descends. And then he swallowed a sword, and Jesus cried, okay, Pastor John, I'll receive that. Thank you.
He thought a new one. If the dude apologized, I'm not a big fan.
They're telling him to get off.
Let me just say this.
You having her glasses on?
Looked like it.
If Mark wanted to say that, he should have said it to me first.
All right, right there.
Get him.
If Mark wanted to say that, he should have said it to me first. And the guy says, well, we talked 30 minutes before he even got up there. But here's the issue. He takes Matthew 18, where if you have a problem with a brother, you go to him privately and you talk about what the problem you have. The issue is that Pastor Mark, as an elder, has a responsibility to the men who are there at that particular time. He goes and he talks to John. If he talks to John, nothing happens. These guys don't know anything. These guys leave that day
Thinking everything was fine.
thinking everything is fine,
Yep.
and thinking that Driscoll was okay with what happened. So he has a responsibility to talk to those guys and say, what you saw today was wrong.
100%.
Yeah, that wasn't him having a problem with a brother. So Matthew 18 doesn't apply. That wasn't him having a problem with the pastor of the church.
100%.
That was him
100%.
having a problem with what he observed right in front of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if I get up there as a pastor of a church, if I get up there and somebody stands up to give a testimony, okay,
Yeah.
but they say things, doctrinal things that don't align with what we believe as a church.
Yeah.
It is my responsibility as an elder to go up afterwards and say what he said does not represent our views here
Yeah.
to my congregation. And that's what Pastor Mark was doing. And then and then what's funny, he's like, he should have talked to me privately, and then he gets up there and he publicly rebukes Mark.
Yeah.
I would if it had been me, I would have refused to go up. I'm not going up. And but he felt the need. He was compelled to go up there, and he was compelled to talk.
You could tell like he wasn't gonna say. Yeah, I don't think he wanted to say anything.
He did. I don't think he.
You could tell it with just the way he was,
Yeah.
his mannerisms and stuff. Like he didn't want to, but it was just like God's like,
he takes his hat off and he takes a knee. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm humbly telling you this.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And so, and now reports have come out that Mark has apologized for what he did, and
Has he
there's no
actually,
reason
though?
to apologize for what he did.
has he actually?
I don't know.
And if he did, what did he say? Was he apologetic to the pastor, or was he apologetic to the crowd? Like how I'd like to know. Because if he apologized, that took everything he just did and threw it out the window.
Well,
in my
did.
book, like it's like okay, well,
Okay, so it says that he apologizes to him, and Relevant Magazine, which is, by the way, if you ever run out of toilet paper, use Relevant Magazine.
I should have talked to you rather than just verbal processing on the stage, Driscoll said.
no.
And as the father and the head of the house, you could have given me a thumbs up or down, and I need to honor that as a spiritual authority.
Father of the house.
What?
As the
Okay.
father and the head of the house.
I'm already not liking him.
Which one?
Driscoll.
Yeah.
If that's what he's saying, all right, yeah, I don't agree.
Oh, it says he came back on stage to do this.
Really?
I don't.
Oh.
Oh, he's crying too.
Spiritual father. I don't like that guy either.
Then don't tell him to shut up.
Nothing about what was said changes that. And Mark and I talked. We went outside where we could be alone and we could talk. And we reaffirmed our friendship. And Mark, I want you to know, you're a gift to the kingdom. You're a gift to James River. And I love you. And
Oh my gosh.
Listen, he says, I'll do whatever you want. I said, well, if you're willing, and we can come in and talk, and we'll let him talk to you in a moment. If you're willing, I want you to speak again. I want to find out about Elijah.
I honor, respect, and love and admire you as the father of this house. This is the greatest
Father.
event, I believe, in the country right now. It's stayed pure for a long time. And I want to thank you for having such a great heart for men. And I want to thank you that it starts with your sons. And your sons are great men. I love you and I love your sons. And when I was teaching, I just kept seeing that. And maybe it was the Lord, and maybe it's just me, and I'm peculiar. No. We're not going to do division. What we're going to do is we're going to try and model how brothers can work together for division. I believe what I should have done, since I had another session, I was thinking about it. It wasn't in my notes. I didn't intend to go there. I was up late praying for the men. I just kept seeing it. And I should have, between sessions, talked to you rather than just verbal processing on the stage. And as the father and the head of the house, you could have given me a thumbs up or down, and I need to honor that as spiritual authority.
Spiritual authority? Okay, explain that one to me.
Uh,
Why should that guy have spiritual authority over him?
well, I mean, if you go into, like, if I ever go preach at somebody else's church, I'm always respectful of the guy's church.
Yes.
That's why we don't do that.
But I wouldn't call it
Well-
spiritual authority.
He would have authority over somebody speaking in his church.
I
Just
agree,
like
but
anybody.
the whole thing is saying spiritual authority. I don't know. That hits me wrong. I don't know why.
Well, the elders are spiritual authority within
You,
the church.
you notice that he's, as much as we
I
don't
know,
like
I don't
his,
God, he said that.
as much as we don't like his apology, he did not affirm what happened. He said we're divided on this.
He didn't take back what he said,
Right.
and John calls him a prophetic voice, and he said, "This is what John the Baptist looks like." Okay, yeah, and they killed him.
yeah. And you told him to shut up and get off stage.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would have handled it.
As the
You know,
pastor
I'm
of this
trying to
church.
look at my, like I said, I would have probably done the same thing Mark did, and said, you know what, guys, this was wrong, and we can agree to disagree, but this was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it could have happened a couple different ways. He could have talked to John or whatever the guy's name is before, right? And he could have said, "No, I don't want you to say anything." And at that point, Driscoll could have said, "Well, I don't want to go up there then."
Yeah.
100%.
And then Driscoll could have used his platform, which is as big as this one,
Yeah,
and set things straight later too.
because I've heard of Mark Driscoll and I haven't heard of this other guy.
Right.
So
he could have came back and set things straight on his own terms instead of trying to do it there. Maybe that's the chivalrous thing to do, but I don't know.
But if Driscoll's up there and he's rebuking in the same spirit, in the same Christian spirit, the pastor should be, is what he's saying true? And if it is true, I need to take this public rebuke
Yeah.
if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, "Get out of here, you're done,
Yeah.
leave." And understand, this guy has some chips, because when Driscoll was going through a very difficult time, John helped him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, helped him get through that, supported him during that difficult time when everybody was turning their back on Mark Driscoll and the ministry.
Yeah.
All right, so he has chips he can turn in. And so that has a lot of the history that's going on here. But it's a very weird situation, but yet, like, I can kind of understand Pastor John's kind of view concerning it, because if somebody gets up there and says, okay, we do upbeat contemporary music, and somebody's like, well, the way you guys do hymns is disrespectful, I'll be like, you're done, out. Mm-hmm. I would have done that, yes.
But we also didn't have half-naked men dancing on
exactly that
right,
yeah.
and maybe they're maybe they addressed that, and this person covering this right now didn't show that part of the conversation. We have no way of knowing what else happened.
Right, and we don't know the entire context of what took place here, and I understand that completely. But the question is, was Driscoll out of line? That's the ultimate question. I don't think he was out of line. Not at all. And
once again, you have an entire auditorium full of men that needed to hear that.
Yes, 100%.
It needed to be said.
They need, because if Driscoll doesn't talk about it, then nobody says anything about it,
and everybody thinks it's okay.
And
Pastor John ain't gonna say crap about it because he's the one that put it all on.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. I don't know who said, "Hey, let's plan this event, and we're going to bring in this male stripper and do this."
Well, it's like he talks about how they have such this great friendship. That's not how you talk to somebody. You don't say, "John or Mark, you're done. Get off." That's not how you treat somebody that you have a good relationship with. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he yells from the back of the auditorium, "You're done. Get out of here." That's not a friendship response.
But I think he just did that because that's how Mark Driscoll responds to stuff. I mean, that's the way he would do it. I mean, he understands that. I thought it was very, very cool on his part to say, "Okay, you're right."
Yeah, that was the right move, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Because now what he did was he switched it over to Pastor John then, and the whole audience is like, "Oh, boo, boo!" Let him speak, and let the people judge.
I want to know Pastor John's view of what happened at his church.
Yeah.
I want to know what he has to say about it and why it's okay.
Yeah, I just cannot comprehend in my mind why anybody would think that was okay at a men's conference. Why would you do that? Okay, and like we said, baby, if he gets up there and he doesn't have the stripper pole and he doesn't take his shirt off, and he doesn't lick the sword. He licked it.
He licked the sword.
Yes.
And maybe it's stripper turned circus freak. Maybe there is a great story there, but it's still not the place to have that.
It's still not the place to have it.
Yeah.
And
do something else. Have the guys up there ripping phone books or something.
Why at a men's conference do you have to have a dude on a pole swallowing swords? Why? How is that any?
Even if you were trying to entertain the men, this is not how you do it.
No,
it's really not. It's just like
pull cars out there and do burnouts or something. Not.
Just set up a dyno in the middle and let
I wonder what dude there was like. You know what? That's pretty cool.
That was pretty good.
Half naked dude club pole.
That was awesome. Watch this guy deep throat a sword. That was pretty cool. It's like, who thought of that?
Oh my gosh. This is why I've never been to a men's conference.
I have been to a men's conference.
I went to Promise Keepers.
So did I.
I don't remember anything from it.
Did you cry and hug other men?
No, I never did.
I think the only thing I remember about that, Phil Keggy was there with the guitar stuff.
I remember Brad Stein coming out.
Okay, I would like to see Brad Stein. That'd been cool.
And the men losing their mind.
Yeah,
because he was awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
he was absolutely awesome. And guys, I feel sorry for these guys because I have a heart for men probably as much as Pastor John, but I think there's a different way of going about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's about surrounding men with godly men, and that's how you change them. And these events, like I said, it's like the camp experience when I was a youth minister. They go, they get excited, and then they lose it after a little while.
Yeah, they burn out.
You got to have something that is consistent and is sustainable over time. So